Our second speaker that I'd like to introduce to you is Madison Oswald. Madison is a junior at Beller High School and has a passion for bringing awareness to addiction and helping her peers to make good decisions around not taking part in activities involving drugs and alcohol. She started the Bobcats Against Addiction program at Beller High School, volunteers with Rage Against Addiction, speaks at different events, and is interning with the Public Defender's Office. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me to welcome Madison.
Good morning and welcome to the 6th Annual Champions for Children Awards Ceremony. My name is Madison Oswald and I'm a junior at Beller High School as well as an advocate for educational substance abuse in the Harford County area. Between school and work, I spend as much time as I can volunteering at local events with Rage Against Addiction, working with Mr. Joe Ryan to educate our youth in Harford County, and interning at the Harford County Office of the Public Defender. My plan is to attend Georgetown University in the fall of 2019, where I will double major in government and international politics with a minor in Spanish, which will lead the path to becoming a lawyer and ultimately a U.S. Senator, where I hope to make great strides in national drug policy reformation. I am also the president of Bobcats Against Addiction, a club that I started to bring awareness as well as support to those affected by the opioid epidemic in Beller High School and the rest of Harford County. It's truly an honor to be here today, surrounded by so many influential people, and I would like to once again thank Ms. Laura Dow and the Harford County Office of Drug Policy for giving me such an amazing opportunity. In the year 2016, drug overdoses killed more Americans than the entirety of the Vietnam War. That would mean that a staggering 65,000 Americans died from overdose, a 21% increase from the year before, outnumbering deaths by motor vehicle crashes, AIDS, homicides, and suicides. But 65,000 is not just a number. Behind each number is a real person, just like you and me, with a loving family and supportive friends who was put on this earth for a reason. But the crippling disease of addiction took over their bodies, ultimately leading them to their last breath, leaving the rest of us here to only sit back and think about what we could have done to prevent it. The world does not seem to fully grasp the concept of addiction. It's often mistakenly assumed that drug abusers lack moral principles or willpower, and that they could stop using simply by choosing to stop. Addiction is defined as being mentally and physically dependent on a substance, thing, or activity. You can be addicted to food, shopping, eating, exercising, cleaning, etc. Just because what you are addicted to may not necessarily kill you like drugs and alcohol, this doesn't mean you are not an addict. Your addiction, healthy or not, fills the same void as drug and alcohol fill for others. Addiction is a disease. It is a mental health disorder, just as bipolar disorder, depression, and schizophrenia. No one wakes up one day and says, I want to become a drug addict today. Little boys and girls are not playing with G.I. Joe and Barbie pretending that they're dope sick. The truth is, no one knows that they are an addict until the addiction, whatever it may be, has taken over their life, mind, body, and soul. At this point, you have no choice. The disease is telling you to feed the addiction no matter the cost. With proper treatment, an addict can stop using and become a responsible, contributing member of society. Facilities and medical professionals can help addicts learn the tools necessary to live life without feeding the addiction. Unfortunately, addicts don't always have the option to receive the help they need. A standard 30-day inpatient program costs roughly $80,000. Most health insurance policies only cover a small portion, if any, of this cost. Along with that, most addicts who are at the point of wanting to have help have spent all their money, lost their jobs, and therefore do not have health insurance. They have hit rock bottom, which means unless they can find or borrow upwards of $80,000, they cannot get treatment. Addiction is the only disease in which you will be denied treatment due to your inability to pay. However, this is a lifelong battle which requires long-term mental health treatment, such as therapy and group programs, in order to keep relapse from happening, as relapse occurs well before the drug enters your body. Relapse is the state of mind and the actions that occur that ultimately end with using to fill the void. Treatment centers and ongoing care must be made more affordable, and health insurance must provide better coverage, or we will continue to lose our loved ones due to lack of accessible treatment. Families should not be forced to put a price tag on the life of a loved one. You should never have to let someone die due to inability to pay for medical help. The quote-unquote junkie you see is someone's parent, someone's sibling, someone's child. The quote-unquote junkie that doesn't deserve help, that is worthless in your eyes, is my stepfather. He is not worthless, he is not unloved. He did not come from a horrible family that didn't care or was poor. He is a person with feelings, a loving family, a solid moral upbringing, and doesn't deserve to be scolded or frowned upon for having a disease. I I know firsthand what addiction can do to someone. They become unrecognizable, a shell of the person you once knew. They will do unspeakable things to feed their addiction, and you will wonder why your love for them isn't enough. You will question yourself, every decision, and place blame on yourself for not being able to stop it. The emotional roller coaster of loving an addict is something I pray I can stop just one person, one family, from ever having to deal with firsthand. The gut-wrenching feeling you get every time the phone rings, wondering, is this the call? Or the fear when you haven't heard from them in hours, days, months, or even years, and you have no idea if they are alive or dead. The sleepless nights, the fake smiles, the anger, the hurt, it begins to overpower you. Ironically, you become addicted to your addict. Your life revolves around doing whatever it takes to quote-unquote fix them, but you can't fix them. You cannot force them to stop, and that is why early education on addiction is key in getting your loved one to never pick up that first time. If you think you're immune, if you think not my child, I beg you to speak to someone who thought the same and then buried their child due to this disease. Addiction does not discriminate. It will take over anyone at any time. A study from the Addiction Research Institute reveals the earliest risk of onset for alcohol is ages 10 to 11, followed by the illicit use of drugs at ages 11 to 12. We must start educating our children at an early age on the effects of drug and alcohol abuse as well as addiction. We must stop sugarcoating the consequences and be very realistic with them about the dangers of trying it even just once. We need to stop making the disease of addiction something that should be hidden and not spoken about. It needs to be talked about in order to save our loved ones. Even though at points my world was full of darkness, I had to see the light at the end of the tunnel. I had to choose to let this ruin me or make me stronger. I decided to not let evil win. I decided to use my darkest times to shine light and educate those around me, because if I can help just one person, stop one person from picking up, then going through the darkness to save them was worth it.